Very warm welcome to Eye on Africa. I'm James Creedon. These are our headlines this evening. Emmanuel Macron is in Algeria. The French president has kicked off a 3-day visit with economic ties on the agenda and a bid to reset often tense relations between Paris and Algiers. In Angola, provisional results after Wednesday's election indicate a strong lead for the ruling MPLA party, meaning it's likely President João Lourenço has secured a second term. And activists in Senegal are calling for fast action to be taken to reduce plastic pollution, which is a major problem in the country. Plans are in the pipeline, however, to build 500 recycling plants. Thanks for watching. We start in Angola, where the Electoral Commission says that provisional results show a strong lead for the ruling MPLA party over its rival UNITA. But the gap between the two parties is small, with a historically high score for UNITA. Now, with more on all that, we can cross to Clément Bonnereau, who's following events for us this evening in the capital. Thanks for talking to us, Clément. What's the latest?
Well, 90% of votes have been counted so far in Angola, and early results show a victory for the ruling MPLA, which has been in power since independence in 1975. The MPLA getting just over 51% of the vote, which would give it 124 seats in the National Assembly, 124 out of 220 seats. UNITA, the historic opposition party, is behind with just over 44% of the vote. As you said, a historically high score, which would give UNITA 90 seats in Parliament. UNITA had until now only 51 seats in the National Assembly. UNITA is also ahead in at least 3 provinces, including in the Angolan capital, Luanda. UNITA had earlier rejected provisional results given earlier by the Electoral Commission. So, of course, everyone is waiting for UNITA's reaction. The National Electoral Commission, meanwhile, is expected to give final results in the coming hours.
OK, Clément, thank you for that update. And of course, we'll be checking in with you in the next day or two as those results come in. Thank you for that. Now, it's a trip intended to mend ties with Algeria, which was colonised by France and became independent in 1962 after a bloody war of independence that still has deep scars in France and Algeria. The Elysee Palace says that this visit is an attempt to reset relations and to look towards the future. Now, improving relations would also have an economic incentive, with Algeria owning rich oil and gas reserves. Delano de Souza has more.
A red carpet welcome for Emmanuel Macron as he touched down in the Algerian capital. The French president is on a high-stakes 3-day visit aimed at mending ties with the former colony whilst looking towards the future. Algeria's President Abdelmadjid Tebboune welcomed Macron, who is accompanied by 7 of his ministers as part of a 90-member delegation. Macron's visit comes the same year Algeria marks its 60th anniversary of independence. Relations between Paris and Algiers have remained rocky since then. Last year, tensions mounted after France announced it would drastically reduce the number of visas granted to Algerians. Macron himself ruffled feathers further after questioning in an interview with the French daily whether the Algerian nation existed before French colonialism. While the Elysee Palace says Macron's visit will focus on Algeria's youth, innovation and startups, the security situation in neighbouring Mali will be discussed. The French president is also likely to pressure Africa's largest gas exporter to increase supplies, this as Europe looks for alternatives to Russian gas.
Now, Emmanuel Macron has spoken in the past hour at a press conference with President Abdelmadjid Tebboune. He addressed the, quote, joint past pain of the two countries. Let's take a listen.
We have a shared past. It is complex, painful, and at times it has hindered us looking to the future. We are living in a unique time, and I hope this allows us to look at the past with a lot of humility. The desire for the truth, both memory and history, but also not to get rid of the past, because it's impossible. These are vices, these are our stories. The past should be what's common, and not something that blocks us.
Now, could Ethiopia's northern Tigre region be headed back to full-scale conflict? Fighting between government forces and Tigrayan rebels resumed on Wednesday, breaking a ceasefire that had been in place since the end of March. Now, it's unclear what the situation is on the ground right now. The UN Secretary-General is calling for an immediate truce and a resumption of peace talks. Alison Sargent has more.
In the Ethiopian capital, residents' thoughts are with the north, where fighting resumed after 5 months of calm, shattering the war's truce and their hopes for peace.
I was shocked when I heard the news. We had hoped they were ready for peace, but now our hope is gone. If they restart the war, it will not be good for the people.
Both the Ethiopian government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front have confirmed fighting in the province of Raya, on the southern tip of Tigray, bordered by the regions Amhara and Afar. Wednesday morning, rebel leaders reported that the Ethiopian army had launched a large-scale offensive, but the government accuses the Tigrayan forces of striking first and breaking the truce declared at the end of March.
I am deeply shocked and saddened by the news of the resumption of hostilities in Ethiopia. Ethiopians, Tigrayans, Amaras, Oromos, Afars have already suffered too much. My strong appeal is for an immediate cessation of hostilities and for the resumption of peace talks between the government and the TPLF.
The two sides have evoked peace talks but disagree over who should mediate. The fighting in Tigray erupted in November 2020 when Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed sent his army into the region to oust local authorities, accusing them of attacking a military base. 21 months later, thousands have died and 2 million have been displaced. The UN warns that nearly half of Tigray's population is living in famine, with Ethiopia also facing its worst drought in 4 decades.
To Kenya next, and the fallout from a tense election continues there. Members of the Electoral Commission have gathered at their offices in Nairobi. They organised the vote earlier this month and are condemning violence and intimidation they say they were victims of. Now, as well as political tensions, ethnic tensions are running high after the vote, with Commission workers saying they were accused of manipulating the results in favour of their own ethnic groups. Vivian Wandera has more.
The peaceful procession comes after the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission personnel were attacked in different places in the country. One returning officer was murdered while another was shot, forcing his leg to be amputated. The Electoral Commission has also called out an attempted attack on its personnel who are working on a response for the presidential petition. The Electoral Commission's personnel have also called for an end to intimidation and ethnic profiling by the political class.
We are tired of intimidation by the political class. We want this message to go straight to the political class that we are also human. We do not want to be intimidated. We do not want to be harassed in our tallying centers.
We want to tell the political class elections should not be a matter of life and death. If an election can cost any life, then it's not worth being called an election.
The Commission also sought audience with the Director of Public Prosecutions on Tuesday to seek reassurance on their security following the intimidations and ethnic profiling. This comes after the Commission was forced to postpone the gubernatorial elections in Kakamega and Mombasa counties from the 23rd of August to 29th of August, citing harassment and threats against its personnel as the reason.
Now, Senegal has one of the worst plastic pollution problems in Africa. Of the 200,000 tonnes of plastic waste produced every year in the country, only about 5% is recycled. Now, in a bid to turn this around, the government is embarking on an ambitious project to construct 500 new recycling plants. Sam Bradpeace says more.
Modou Fall is a Senegalese environmentalist best known for his eye-catching costume.
The outfit symbolizes the 5 million plastic bags thrown on the streets of Dakar every day.
When not planting trees or making furniture from abandoned tyres, Modou spends his days trying to raise awareness about the dangers of plastic waste.
At the beginning it was difficult because people thought I was crazy, but now they are beginning to understand. The plastic bags we use and throw away are poisonous to nature, to the soil, and to our health.
The Senegalese government passed a law to ban single-use plastic bags in 2015, but it's rarely, if ever, enforced. For consumers and traders alike, plastic remains the choice of convenience.
If there was a choice, I would go for another solution. But here there are only plastic bags.
It's true that plastic bags are bad for the environment, but we don't have a choice. People don't want to buy without a bag.
The government has changed tack and is now looking to increase recycling. It aims to build 500 new recycling plants by 2026. The head of the project estimates that this will generate some 5,000 jobs.
We see plastic as a plague. We want to change the paradigm to make this waste into an opportunity for the creation of wealth and jobs. If we achieve this, there will be less plastic in the street.
The government hopes that these new plants will increase the plastic recycling rate to 70%, making Senegal a regional leader in the field.
All right, that's all for tonight's edition. It was produced by Kamina Delek. Thanks to her and all the team. Thanks to you for watching. Good night.
On France 24, watch exclusive interviews with the world's most influential personalities.
We need to act together because we're protecting our freedom.
Encounters with key political leaders.
L'inquiétude, elle est extrême.
Leading figures from the worlds of culture, sport and science.
La science, la recherche, la découverte, le progrès, c'est important, c'est pas des mots qui sont vides.
Whatever you think is right, you can do.
Watch The Interview, a meeting of ideas on France 24 and France24.com.
Liberté, égalité, actualité.
Amazing nature, unpronounceable volcanoes, Bjork and Game of Thrones. They're just some of the things you might think of relating to Iceland. But did you know this tiny island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean is one of the most creative nations in the world? Join us on the Isle of Artists to find out why.
Encore, presented by Eve Jackson on France 24 and France24.com.